iHeart, get ready. Fantasy football is here. Welcome to the Scout Fantasy Show. ScoutFantasy.com is home to the Fantasy Football World Championships and the best players in the world. Real money winners giving their secrets to help you win. Now exclusively on iHeart. This is the Scout Fantasy Show with your host, the one, the only, Dr. Roto.
Roto. Get out the insurance cards. Get out the copay. The office? It's open, my friends. All right, let's start with the big news. Alshon Jeffery, out for 4 weeks, violating the NFL policy on PEDs, performance-enhancing drugs. Man, if Jay Cutler was my quarterback, I'd be taking different kind of drugs. Let me tell you that right now. I'd be taking the heavy-duty drugs. But I don't know here. I love when the PR guy's like, well, this was inflammation. I was just trying to, I feel a little better. Listen to me. This is why you pay your PR team thousands upon thousands of dollars. You say it's for quote-unquote inflammation, and you feel better. Right? And the public's like, well, maybe I can believe that. Listen, these guys know what they're putting in their bodies. They just always think that they're smart enough and they're not going to get caught. You're going to get caught, dude. This is what happens. Look at Major League Baseball. They all get caught except for Ryan Braun. And he should have been caught too. Alshon Jeffery, busted. And the worst part is it's a contract year. So now if you're a general, this might have been one of the dumbest moves in the history of football. Because if you're Alshon Jeffery, you're like, well, I'll use some PEDs. If you weren't feeling well, at least if I'm a general manager and you say you were injured, I get it. But now that you're a drug user, I don't know if I trust the fact of what you've done in the past. Maybe you did it on drugs. I don't know. Now it's worse for you. I'd rather you suck than use drugs. If you suck, at least I know that you suck. If you use drugs, I wonder if you suck without the drugs. All right, speaking of sucking, the Bears are going to suck. Let me tell you that right now. Everybody's going to pick up Cameron Meredith, but not me. I'm going to pick up Eddie Casino Royale. That's right, Eddie Royal. Here's the problem with Jay Cutler. I think Jay Cutler is like the stubborn mule that you know. He's not even grumpy cat. He's like stubborn mule guy. He's not throwing to Cameron Meredith. You think he threw that pass to Cameron Meredith the other day? He just chucked it up and Meredith caught it. That doesn't make Jay Cutler like Meredith anymore. He doesn't know him. He knows Eddie Royal, though. And he's going to throw to Eddie Royal a whole lot. I think Eddie Royal is a very sexy pickup this week. And if you're desperate, which a lot of people are, that's what happens. Oh my God, Sammy Coates blames a busted hand for his struggles. Are you kidding? Are you kidding? How about the fact that you have bad hands to begin with? Now, I know your injury is making it harder, but you really have bad hands already, Sammy. So I'm not exactly buying it. I'll buy that a little bit because I do know that he did hurt his hand. But it's bad at this point. And if it's that bad, don't play. Because you're worse. And now Ben Roethlisberger and every other fantasy owner thinks you stink. I know I do. Next. Jay Gruden has said that Matt Jones may continue to be a healthy scratch. I think so. He says they're not giving up on Matt. But I'd be giving up on Matt. And Matt Jones doesn't do anything on special teams. So you got Chris Thompson. You got R. Kelly. I believe I'm the starter. I told you this guy was going to be the starter. Hopefully you've been listening to this podcast and you've been picking guys like this up. We call them 3 weeks before it happens. Okay? We are. The Rams sticking with Case Keenum for week 11. I don't get it. I don't get it. Honestly, I think we're going to need to see a Case Keenum injury before Jared Goff can get in. And I appreciate that Jeff Fisher wants to protect Jared Goff. But dude, it's 11 weeks in the season. Your team's not very good. Todd Gurley has been neutered. Come on. Seriously, come on. Do you want... I can't imagine. If I'm in the locker room there, if I'm in the Rams locker room, aren't you saying under your breath, man, Coach Fisher is delusional? What is Coach Fisher thinking? Why is Coach Fisher not playing Jared Goff? He's the only one he's the number one pick in the draft and we traded so much for him. I watched this guy in preseason. He definitely can make some throws. Come on. I'm not comparing him to Carson Wentz. I'm just saying that we need to give him a shot. We need to see what he can do. I know I want to see what he can do. All right. Bengals, Giants. Let's talk about it. Giants win 21-20. Eli Manning played better than I thought he would. 28 for 44, 240 yards, 3 touchdowns. Speaking of playing better than I thought he would, I got to give it up for Rashad Jennings. Played very well, especially in the fourth quarter. So Paul Perkins is slowly emerging, but it's not enough. He may break a play or two, but Jennings is, I don't like him. I hate him. But in the fourth quarter of games when my team is winning and if I need to milk the clock, I'll play Jennings. Otherwise, I have no interest. Odell Beckham, though, 10 receptions, 97 yards, touchdown. Jarrell Adams, really big target there. 3 for 18 and a touchdown. Will Tye, 5 for 53. Right, Sterling Shepard played well, too. Roger Lewis didn't know what he was doing out there, how to be pulled. That's why you got to be very careful with rookies. I know Jason Braddock loves that guy, and I'm not saying Jason's wrong. I'm just saying, hey, you can't go too soon on rookies. Andy Dalton, 16 for 29, 204 yards, touchdown, and a pick. Watching this game, it seemed like Cincinnati had no identity out there. And I think that's the problem right now. They're 3-5-1. I'm watching this team. They don't know if they're passing or running. They don't know who they are. You need to know who you are in the NFL. Giovanni Bernard, 7 carries, 17 yards, 3 receptions, 19 yards. You didn't use him enough. Jeremy Hill had 15 carries for 46 yards and a touchdown and a really nice touchdown run. But I don't know. I just feel like I'm watching this team. What's their identity? Are you a pass-first team? Are you a running team? What are you? If you don't know who you are, look, I'll say this in life as well. How can you expect to be with a person when you can't be with yourself? You've got to know yourself first before you can be with somebody else. I truly believe that. And I believe in the NFL, if you don't know who you are as a team, you can't win. And shame on Marvin Lewis. He should know better. He should know better at this point. All right, so let's start digging for gold here. Hidden treasures night. We're walking around the bar. It's 3 a.m. We're trying to pick up some drunk women and some, see if we can get lucky finding some change on the floor. Maybe Will Tye. Yeah. I don't feel good about that one. Really, I don't feel good about that one. I don't see anybody here in Cleveland and Baltimore, and sometimes you need to go back to these games because these are the games on last Thursday, right? And we forget about them. But I don't see anybody here who's shouting, coming off the page that I need to get here. Green Bay, Tennessee. I don't know. I don't see anything here. Richard Rodgers? He had 7 targets. And Randall Cobb's not 100%, but is that who I want to pick up this morning? James Starks for sure. If he's available, I'm absolutely picking up James Starks. So, I don't like James Starks, but I will certainly be interested in James Starks. Let's see here. This is just with a side of Washington, maybe Vernon Davis if they're going to run into a 2 tight end offense. With Deshaun Jackson possibly out again. I'm trying to see. I don't see anybody in Minnesota that people wouldn't own. Tampa and Chicago, maybe Jeremy Langford if Jordan Howard is injured. Eddie Royal, I like. Josh Bellamy might be interesting again. Just throwing that name out there. For Tampa Bay, Freddie Martino? Really? He's the 4th receiver there, but he's nobody I'm dying to pick up. For Kansas City, Albert Wilson had 7 targets, so I think he's in play. But I would spend very little on him because I would assume Jeremy Maclin would be back. Maybe Devin Funchess again, but I really am not a Devin Funchess guy. I pretty much despise him. For Atlanta, Taylor Gabriel, I think he was available last week. I do like him. For Philadelphia, there's nobody. Wendell Smallwood had 70 yards rushing. I'm going through this, and I know this is like the worst podcast you ever heard, where I don't feel great about any of these players. I just don't. Robbie Anderson went 3 for 69. He had a 52-yard reception. Take out the 52 yards, he went 2 for 17. How can I endorse that? So here we are at this critical point of the season, and I don't have a lot of guys for you out there. Who do I have for you? Seriously, Jordan Taylor? Capri Bibbs? I mean, he was the guy last week that people spent money on, but he wasn't special. Ben Koyak at tight end for Jacksonville? Is that who we want to spend our money on? I don't see it. Akeem Hunt? Maybe. I mean, maybe he's in play. Who knows? I don't really like him that much, but he's in play. Damian Williams is in play. I think Damian Williams is absolutely in play. That's a name I like. Jai gets injured. Damian Williams is going to play a lot more. I don't think Kenyon Drake is playing more. I like Damian Williams. That's a player I like. That's a guy I can get behind. But I'm looking at all these teams here. Dallas, Pittsburgh. I mean, maybe, certainly Eli Rogers if he's available, but he probably won't be. Nobody else is really shouting out to me. Arizona, Michael Floyd might be out there in your league. What about J.J. Nelson? J.J. Nelson had 6 targets, but didn't particularly play very well. And I'm worried about that. I am. Vance McDonald looked pretty good. I got to give some props to him. If he's available, it seems like Colin Kaepernick has found him the last couple of weeks. New England and Seattle. Look, Thomas Rawls, we've discussed this. If he's back, you got to be all in. You got to be all in on Thomas Rawls. I think Paul Richardson's a guy who's been playing a little bit. You know, if somebody gets hurt there, I mean, there's your player. So Colin Kaepernick, I'll just give guys now. So those are like the hidden treasure guys. You know, this is really a bad night. Imagine you're at a bar there, and this is like 4 a.m. There's nothing. There's nothing. When Damian Williams is the best talent out there, go to another bar. All right, so guys out here who may be low-owned. Colin Kaepernick may be low-owned. Ryan Tannehill may be low-owned. He's certainly playing a lot better. Their offensive line is playing a lot better. I'm not playing Brock Osweiler ever. I would think those are the only 2 guys that I'm going to look at. I'm going to look, and maybe Sam Bradford. Let's give some love for Sam Bradford. Right, the offensive line is terrible, but they're throwing quick passes to keep Sam Bradford alive. Right? Keeping him alive that way. So I might look that way. So Kaepernick, Bradford, Tannehill. 3 guys I'd look at. Thomas Rawls, we discussed. He'll be back. Pete Carroll likes him. They don't love Christian Michael. They like Thomas Rawls a lot. He'll be the starter. James Starks, as I said, I don't really like him, but he's starting, so he's worth looking at. Kenneth Dixon, I think this is Kenneth Dixon. I like him. He's starting to play more, and I think that Kenneth Dixon may emerge. This is time to get him. Dion Lewis, time to get him. You know, James White didn't do a whole lot this week. I mean, it's still a LeGarrette Blount love fest, but Dion Lewis certainly this week might be a very interesting week to be involved with him. Because when they play the 49ers, you're going to want to play him, right? You're going to want to get him involved. I would think that makes sense to me. Paul Perkins, we know, is around. If Jennings gets hurt, which is always possible. Chris Thompson, for sure. Jeremy Langford was another name I gave you earlier. I'm just going now through by positions. Guys that I'm interested in. Let's see. No other guy I'm really loving here at running back. CJ Procise really played a lot of snaps, but remember, he loses a lot of those snaps the second Thomas Rawls come back. At wide receiver, Rashard Matthews, if he's by some miracle available in your league, get him. I dropped him in the league, and I regret it every minute of every day. I told you I like Eli Rogers a lot. I told you I like Cameron Meredith. I also love Eddie Royale. I love him. I just like saying Eddie Royale when it's Eddie Royal. I know that. Tyreek Hill, maybe he's available in your league. He is certainly a guy that Andy Reid is using, and I appreciate that. So very impressed there. Dontrell Inman. He's a guy who maybe is available in your league. With Travis Benjamin dealing with an injury, I think he's absolutely and unequivocally in play this week. That's a guy I would look at. We mentioned Taylor Gabriel, so you know that. Quincy Enunwa played all these snaps, but he didn't do anything. Kobe Hamilton played a lot of snaps, so maybe he's a name. Just saying, if Sammy Coates is dog poo, dog poo on a stick. And of course, at tight end, Ladarius Green played a little bit more. Ben Roethlisberger may start using him more. I think he's interesting. Jack Doyle's coming back from break. I told you about Vance McDonald. I like him very much. People may be down on Lance Kendricks because he did nothing last week. I think that's a name that we can look at more closely. I think Lance Kendricks won't go away. Maybe he will when Jared Goff is the quarterback, but not with Case Keenum. I don't think he goes away. So we're heading into the final 3 weeks. And these are the winning weeks, guys. This is the winning week. So right now, you got to do whatever it takes. Make the right moves, make the right plays. I would still be very hesitant to overspend, right? I'm still going to be, I don't want to say judicious. I need to go all in, but I'll be slightly careful to save $1 or $2. Remember, this week, Atlanta, Denver, the Jets, and San Diego are on bye. And remember, in week 12, there's no buys, but week 13 there are, right? Week 13, Cleveland and Tennessee. So if you have DeMarco Murray, you have Corey Coleman, you have Terrell Pryor, you have Matthews, you have Delaney Walker. This is a bad week for buys. Really, NFL, crappy job, Roger Goodell, as usual. Crappy. Seriously. I'm watching the Giant Bengal game last night, and Tom Coughlin's talking about the CBA agreement just being terrible because the offensive line doesn't get to work out with the quarterback. The CBA was one of the worst things I've ever seen. I don't know how DeMaurice Smith let those guys sign that agreement. That was one of the worst things I've ever seen. The NBA is giving money hand over fist to players, and the NFL is like they're barely handing out $1. The league is making so much money, and players are getting so little. Really? That was terrible. I would have struck and stayed out and let them bring in scabs. And you know what? Would it kill the brand? I don't think so because people love the NFL. But the players, man, they did a poor job this time around. Very poor. I know they wanted to play, and I know they didn't want to give up time and stuff like that. But you got to fight, baby, because what you got now is screwed. Roger Goodell is screwing you. Week 13 bye week? How's that good? Seriously, forget for fantasy owners. How's that good in real life? So many major mistakes made. It's a travesty. All right, time now to put away the insurance cards, put away the copay. The office is closed, my friends. I want to encourage you all to join scoutfantasy.com. Enter the promo code ROTO. That's ROTO. You pay for 1 month, you get 2 more months for free. That's how we work. You get to see the scout scores, which are great for DFS. If your fantasy team is out of it in your seasonal league, you're not out of it. You're not out of it yet. There's DFS. Come to the scout scores and we'll hook you up. Right? We'll let you know the best plays. We'll get you in the forums. Listen to us on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. We, the high-stakes players, are trying to get you to be high-stakes guys too and try to make money. That's what we want. You make money, I'm happy. I am. And of course, those scout scores work great for the NBA, so we encourage you to do that as well. All right, we are back tomorrow with more waiver wire picks. Who am I spending the money on? How much should I spend? I got to go through my waiver wires. I got 20 leagues of this stuff. I don't know, it's crazy. I'm in so many leagues, home leagues, friends leagues, partner leagues, main events, online championships. I can't even keep track half the time. It's not easy, but we're going to get it done. All right, guys, wishing you all a great day. Be well, and take care.
Thanks for listening to the Scout Fantasy Show. There's never been a better time to join the Scout Army. Visit scoutfantasy.com. Use the promo ROTO for 2 months free. And don't forget, fantasy players, please thumbs up the podcast on the iHeart app. See you next time. Go Scouts!